Fat tire bikes were created around the 1980s. They were used by one guy to help him cross the Sahara Desert. They were used by someone else to help him cross snowy terrain, and for others to cross rough terrain. But today, I feel like they've recently really became popular, especially fat tire e-bikes. And in this video, I want to share with you the truth of fat tire e-bikes. Generally, a fat tire e-bike will have a tire size that's larger than 3.8 inches in its width. Most of my e-bikes, though, are actually 4 inches wide by 26 inches in diameter. So the first thing that most people don't tell you about fat tire e-bikes is they're a lot heavier than normal e-bikes. This e-bike comes in at 72 pounds, whereas these other two e-bikes are a lot lighter. Since fat tire e-bikes are typically heavier, it just makes them harder to handle. If you have to pull it out of the garage or move it through a doorway, it can be a challenge because it's just so much weight that you have to haul around. Another thing that you'll typically see with a fat tire e-bike is it's larger. Just because it has these larger wheels on it, it also feels like the frame and just the overall size of the e-bike is larger as well. So if you're a smaller person, this can be hard for you to just get on it or maneuver it or just use the e-bike in general, because it's a larger sized bike. Since most fat tire e-bikes weigh more and are a little bit larger, they also require a larger motor to be able to power it so that you can actually propel this e-bike forward. And that's the other thing I want to talk about. With a fat tire e-bike, if you run out of battery power, you have to pedal this by yourself. And with these large fat tires and the extra friction they add to the pavement because they're wider, these are harder to pedal when you don't have any assistance at all with the battery or the motor. So that can be a problem if you ever run out of juice. So that's the truth about fat tire e-bikes, but that makes you wonder, why would anyone actually want to get one of these? Before I answer that question, I wanted to let you know that this video is sponsored by Velotric. Even though I'm ragging on fat tire e-bikes, they still want to support the channel, and I honestly love their products. I don't have a script I'm reading, I'm literally just talking from my heart, and I really have had a great experience with all their products. They do a great job at building quality products that actually go above and beyond most other e-bike brands because they use quality parts, they have really nice batteries that have super long range, they also brake really easily because they have hydraulic brakes, and they're just a joy to ride. On their website, they have a large selection of e-bikes to meet your needs. They have cargo e-bikes. They have urban e-bikes that are great for fitness and cycling. They have commuter e-bikes that are really awesome for going long distances and leisurely rides. And they even have fat tire e-bikes, even though I've been ragging on them in this video. But if you're interested in checking out any of their products, I'll put a link in the description below to their brand for you to learn more about them. And honestly, I highly recommend this brand. Anytime a family member or a friend wants to go riding with me, I'll always put them on a Velotric because I know they'll have a blast. Back to the question then, why in the world would anyone get a fat tire e-bike? Honestly, despite all the reasons why a fat tire e-bike might not be a great choice, they are still one of my favorite e-bikes to ride. For a lot of reasons actually, but one of the main things I love about fat tire e-bikes is the comfort of them. The area I live in, I take a lot of gravel and dirt roads to get around different places. I typically ride on the back roads because there's not as many cars. But when you do that, a normal bicycle, when you go over top of all those loose stones, they can feel very shaky and not comfortable at all to ride on. But with a fat tire e-bike, since the wheel size is a lot bigger, it absorbs all those small stones and you just glide across the dirt. I also noticed that the large size of the e-bike paired with the large tires usually helps me to feel a lot more stable when I'm riding on all that slippery terrain and the loose stones. I just feel like I have a lot of control on this e-bike. Even in the wintertime, I rode this and I was able to glide through the snow, no problem at all, and I didn't feel like I was gonna slip out or fall or anything like that. And a lot of times fat tire e-bikes will come with a really comfortable seat and front suspension to absorb more of the shock and give you a nice, smooth, comfortable ride. Even when I don't take the side roads here in Michigan, when I'm on the pavement roads, it still helps to absorb a lot of the bumps and the cracks in the sidewalk. And especially in Michigan, we have a lot of potholes, so even our paved roads are sometimes worse than gravel dirt roads. So it does a great job at getting over all those bumps and cracks in the pavement. And once you actually get this e-bike going and you start using the motor and the electric power of the e-bike, it feels really easy to handle. It feels nimble and it feels like you can control it without a problem. Sometimes when it's stationary or not moving, it can be heavy, but once you get it going, it's not a problem at all to ride. And I'm not the only one that thinks this. Anytime I have friends or family over, they always choose to ride a Fat Tire e-bike. And anytime I talk to people in online forums that live in Michigan, they oftentimes really talk highly about Fat Tire e-bikes, and that's most people's go-to choice. And like I mentioned before, Fat Tire e-bikes oftentimes have a larger motor. So that 750 watt motor does a great job at getting you uphill. So if you live in a place with a lot of hills and valley or rough terrain that is steep and you have to climb different areas, it's really nice on a 750 watt motor versus other e-bikes. Sometimes we'll put a smaller motor in it because you don't need as much power to propel the e-bike forward. But when you do come across hills, on a Fat Tire e-bike, it is just a breeze going up and down them. And the nice thing about Fat Tire e-bikes is they typically support larger riders. So if you're taller, if you weigh a little bit more, a lot of times a Fat Tire e-bike will feel really comfortable for you to ride. And also with these larger tires, I'm able to go places that I wouldn't ever think to go before with a normal sized bike. I'm able to go over top of large stones that riding a normal bike, I think I would probably pop a tire, but with these, I just roll right over top of them and it's not a problem for me. So overall, like I mentioned before, Fat Tire e-bikes are some of my favorite e-bikes to ride because they are so comfortable. And I know it might not make sense for everyone. If you live in a city, you have a lot of smooth pavement, and if you have to bring your bike up into your apartment, that can be challenging when it's a Fat Tire e-bike. But for the area I live in the area I ride in, a Fat Tire e-bike is the way to go. Anytime I need to hit a dirt road, anytime I need to go off on the grass or go on a trail or take it in the woods, it's not a problem at all. So I like them. That's the truth about Fat Tire e-bikes. I don't know if they're for everyone, but they're definitely for me. So there it is. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you're interested in any Velotric products, then I'll put a link in the description below, like I mentioned before. This is their Velotric Nomad 1. It's a Fat Tire e-bike, and it comes in at a pretty affordable cost, and it comes with high quality parts. I'm a big fan of it. So if you're interested in checking this one out, then be sure to check out the link below.